Welcome, welcome, welcome to the RDL show. I hope you all had a amazing holiday weekend. We took Monday off. You can follow us at hashtag RDL show on Twitter and Instagram at the RDL show, and subscribe to the Ryan D. Leaf show here on YouTube. Listen via podcast if you can't catch us live on the Believe podcast networks. We took Monday off. Lot of sports played out over the weekend. I didn't get Monday off. I was filling in for Rich Eisen on Monday, and it made me kind of reflect on the fact that we're through half the year of 2021. We understand and know what 2020 meant to us all and the adversity that existed there. In 2021, we kind of took up the mantle of we're going to make our own. We're going to control what we can control. We're going to do what we can and let the chips fall as they may. And it led me to believe and take a real look at the gratitude piece in all this, okay? And as I said, I hosted Rich's show on Monday morning. There are certain people who have backed me and supported me really unconditionally since walking out of that prison cell over 6 years ago. And Rich has been one of those. So I thought this was a good opportunity halfway through the year to show not only my gratitude, but I think this show's gratitude, because we have a loyal fan base. Guys and gals that show up every single time we do this show, who comment in our comment section, interact with us on the show. I think it's important that we show gratitude for, allowing us to do this, because we can't do this unless we have viewers, which allow us to have sponsors. That's a part of all of this. And so I was just going to kind of lay out some of the gratitude pieces. I make a gratitude list every night. I try to before I go to bed, more about that day, what I was grateful for. And this is kind of an opportunity to do that, right? Grateful for Rich Eisen for giving me the platform of his show when he's off, allowing me to be part of that. Everybody at ESPN, starting from the top with Jimmy Vitaro, all the way down to Patrick Donaher, Steve Ackles, all those guys, Bill Placey, everybody who was involved, Lee Fitting, in allowing me that opportunity to do that job. And then in the business, right, where it all started. And it started with Kirk Herbstreit, who let me shadow him, Greg McElroy, Joe Klatt and Gus Johnson. That was huge. Who else was instrumental in that? Brady Quinn, everybody, Joe Davis, Fox Sports, and ultimately the Pac-12 Network, Yogi Roth, and everybody involved there. Guy Haberman, who was my play-by-play guy with me, Roxy Bernstein, Larry Scott, everybody at the Pac-12 Network that actually gave me my start. Clay Matvick was my play-by-play guy in my first year calling games for ESPN. Unbelievable. He's been in this business for years and years and years. He really helped me along. And then doing other shows and being a part of those things, in particular on SportsCenter LA, has given me the platform to be able to venture out on my own and do this. Kevin Nagandi, Mark Sanchez, a ton of people. The people that watch this show are very instrumental in all that too. There's a group of guys that comment. We just got one from Eric Davidson right now. He is a faithful follower of this show. A lot of gratitude in the Leaf household at all times around what has been bestowed to me. And I think what we tend to do, especially after last year, is we look and feel like a victim because of everything that's going on. But stuff that's out of our control really doesn't allow for that. We have to control what we can control. And a lot of that is, in my world, has been around gratitude. Okay. Grateful for Sky, Jonathan, and Charlie. You guys don't understand the work they do behind the scenes, right? They put this thing together. Sky comes up with the rundown most of the times because I'm doing shows early in the morning. We talk about it, and I think that that has gone far too long that we haven't shared the gratitude for those guys that have helped me make this thing a reality. 51 shows today, everybody. It's 51 shows so far in the new year. We kind of had a plan, right? We were going to start this March 1st. We kind of just jumped into it, grassroots, and in the hopes that we would build a following and build sponsors and all those things, so we could, build content and give it to the fans who want to hear it and want to see it, want to hear what I have to say, which is incredibly humbling that people want to hear what I have to say. So our plan was to do this for a year. We'll see what we could do. We're essentially, kind of halfway to that point. And we feel excited about it. We stay energized. We look forward to 12:30 on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays to do this, to be a part of your lives for this hour. And it's steeped in gratitude. So I think that's the theme of the show. I think it'll be the theme of the week, really. Jonathan will be back on Friday. He's doing like service work, right? He drove a buddy of his across country to Chicago to med school and is currently flying back. So we have to give Jonathan a healthy applause for doing that. He did go to a Cubs game in the hopes that he would end that faithful streak. They've lost 11 in a row, people, since the no-no that I went to at Dodger Stadium. We will talk about that a little bit later. Question of the day, everybody. Who wins the NBA Finals? Last night was game one. Let's bring in my cohort here, Sky Guasco. Suns look dominant. I will preface this too, and we had done 51 shows, therefore there's evidence to when Chris Paul's name was being tossed around for MVP and I was at the forefront there. I looked at some odds. I looked at some odds for the Nuggets. I looked at some odds for the Clippers. I looked at some odds for some kind of far-reaching teams in the East, and I saw some big numbers. The Suns were at 60-1, So I went out and found 6 teams, and I threw $600 down altogether on these 6 teams. Well, I can't remember what the Milwaukee Bucks are because I don't really care because I don't think they're going to win. I threw a little $100 bill down on the old Phoenix Suns. And if they win, gambling folks out there, your boy here is going to collect a cool $6,000 minus the $500 that I tossed out on the other team. So on that $5,500, that will probably push the show another few episodes. I'm thinking is the way I'm going to look at it. All right. Unbelievable performance by Chris Paul. He dominated. In that, I mean, he controlled the game, right? He controlled every aspect of it, and that's what a point guard's supposed to do. But he led the team in scoring. Devin Booker followed it up. DeAndre Ayton had 22 and 18 on 8 of 10 shooting. Was masterful, right? A couple guys off the bench contributed with 10 points each in double figures. They looked like the dominant team. Giannis played. That was the big question mark, whether or not he would go. He wasn't quite himself. He put up 20. Middleton was the leading scorer. Holiday, kind of bounced around things, but Phoenix just was simply the better team last night and played that way.
Absolutely. And first of all, Ryan, before I get into my take, I want to respond to your gratitude opening just for one minute here. I appreciate you throwing gratitude our way. I also want to throw some your way, and I don't want to speak for Jonathan and Charlie, but I'm sure they feel the same for you giving us, this opportunity and believing in us to do what we do. And for me personally, I say this every episode I take over when you're out and doing Eisen and other things, but you having the faith in me to hold it down while you're not here is extra powerful. So I appreciate that, and I'm absolutely having a blast and looking for. We haven't even started football season, man. I feel like I feel like this has been like spring training this entire time, and we're about.
Well, I tell you what, we're gonna have plenty to talk about. I know that we're gonna have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like we're just like getting in shape, and then we're actually gonna hit the ground running. So I appreciate you and gratitude your way as well.
Yes,
For the Suns, man. Yeah. If the Suns play the way that they played and the Bucks can't muster more than they had, I hate to be cliche, but it could be 4 or 5 games here. And Giannis did play, which is good, and I appreciate him gutting it out. I'm not terribly shocked. I mean, this is the end of the road, so you gotta fire all your bullets, as they say. But the Suns are playing very well, and they're clearly the most complete team, I think, in the NBA playoffs as we've seen overall. They have been, for the most part, the healthiest. Most of the games Chris Paul missed were actually due to COVID stuff. It wasn't injuries, although he's been nicked up throughout his career. He did have a scary moment on that Brook Lopez challenge out there on the three-point line. He came down, he twisted his ankle a little bit. Lopez got a flagrant foul there, but he seemed to be okay. So if these guys are all cylinders, I think it's going to be trouble for the Bucks, absolutely. And Chris Paul's getting a lot of the rep, as he should. Longtime veteran, one that just has never gotten over the top in his great career. But I want to throw a shout out to Devin Booker as well, who's not only a great complimentary piece, a number 2, if Chris Paul wasn't there, which he wasn't for a few of the games through the playoffs, a great number 1 when he had to step up. He's averaging 27 points over the entire playoffs this year, and he scored 27 again last night. So another great young player in the league and able to step up when he needs to be called upon to the number 1. But I think more importantly, kind of knows his role currently on the Sun. This is his team for a long time when Chris Paul's gone. And he knows his role now, which is, give it to the boss, make him make moves, play secondary, shoot lights out, play a little defense, get inside to Ayton, and the Suns are on fire.
Yeah, they are the most complete team by far. They're well coached. They are playing as good a basketball as they played all year. People forget that they were the number 2 seed, right? I mean, they had a great regular season, so they played well. People just didn't expect it to play out this way because they just assumed that, Anthony Davis and LeBron would come guns a-blazing when the playoff times happen, and they're just more talented and they'll get it done, and it really doesn't matter what the regular season. Well, guess what? Regular season showing that, it has something to do with it. The Bucks were the 3rd overall seed, right? It wasn't like, they weren't good during the regular season, right? So this is a good showdown. This is a good matchup. I was excited to see it play out. Really happy to see DeAndre Ayton doing it because he's gotten so much, shit over being the number 1 overall draft pick. When Luka Doncic came after him, as well as Trae Young, but look who's in the finals and has a chance to win a championship. I think is incredibly apropos. So game 2 is what's it, Thursday night or is it tomorrow? It's Thursday night. Thursday night. So we'll talk about it on Friday. It's back in Phoenix, of course, for game 2. There's always major adjustments made in finals play. I mean, if you remember correctly, in those Cavalier Warriors finals, they were terrible series because one team would blow the other team out.
Yep.
And then the next game, adjustments would be made, and the other team would blow the other team out until game 7 when it was a tight ball game. So my question is, does Milwaukee make enough adjustments and have enough firepower to get it done in game 2 and steal a game? Because, a series isn't a series until somebody steals a game on an opposing team's court, and so in their eyes, all they wanted to do was get a split in Phoenix. They still have that opportunity. But do they have the weapons? Do they have the scheme? Is it going to be enough come Thursday night?
Another piece of that too, Ryan, which we haven't been able to talk about in sports for the most part for the last year and a half, is the arena. The arena, I should say, is hot, right? I mean, like Phoenix is fired up as a unit, and it's powerful when you're around or you're voting. Like when the Warriors had their couple years, right? I'm a Bay Area guy. I'm a Warriors fan. The Warriors had a fun run back in the day with Baron Davis and stuff, but the Warriors have been terrible for my whole lifetime until Steph Curry years. And we, of course, had the great 3 to 5 year run there and see what happens moving forward. But when you're a part of something like that at Oracle Arena in Oakland, and the whole city and frankly the whole Bay Area is behind this team, the energy's high. When the Giants were winning World Series and stuff, that is just something special to be a part of, especially if the team's been down for a long time. The Suns have been down for a long time, and now they're the best team in the sport right now. And Phoenix is on fire, and that stadium is hot, and people are fired up, and that's a really tough atmosphere to play in as a competitor, especially because we haven't played in front of really anybody for a year and a half, and now you get this in the finals. It's an uphill battle, to say the least, for the Bucks.
That, in a larger view of that, right? Football season's about to get started here. There were some rookies, in particular rookie quarterbacks, who played a year ago without any fans, right? Don't know what it's going to be like. What happens when Justin Herbert steps into Kansas City with real Arrowhead, going, what's that going to be like? So, it's interesting because the bubble last year. Now they've gotten a little more used to it this year with fans coming back slowly as they have. But these finals crowds, it's a different. Phoenix is, to your point, you said it perfectly. Phoenix is on fire, not only in the temperature wise outside, but inside the arena. I had buddies of mine calling me going, "Hey, you know anybody who could help me get tickets?" I'm like, I don't know. Buck up and buy some, I guess, is the answer to that one. So that's been a huge part of it. Huge change for that. Speaking of Phoenix, if you live in the Phoenix or Los Angeles areas, you need to try the meal plan that I've used for the last year. Sunfare. Go to sunfare.com. Once you get to the enter your information page, you need to select Carl Farrow as your sales representative. Okay, then select the Ryan D. Leaf Show about where you heard of it, and you'll get 10% off your first delivery. This food is delivered right to your doorstep. Personalized, healthy meals delivered to your doorstep every morning. Today for me was, breakfast was bomb, guys. And I needed it. I had a workout like crazy this morning. Pumpkin pancakes with a couple eggs and a side of bacon was my breakfast. All right. Lunch was a skirt steak salad. I just finished that before the show. Snack is some chocolate pudding, which they call it chocolate pudding, but it's really coconut oil and almond butter. It's crazy good. And dinner is some grilled chicken with tomato chutney. Ooh, you guys need to try it now. It's been a year I've been on it. I've lost 70 pounds. For the last 2 weeks, I have not missed. Check out those pictures. That picture from July 3rd, a year ago at the bottom is nutty to see. I have abs now. I'm 45 years old. Never had abs in my life. It's been all about the food. So if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, get on this now. It will change your life. Sunfare.com. Get after it, people. All right, moving along. The Olympics, which were supposed to be last summer, but of course got postponed because of COVID, are scheduled to go full forward in Tokyo. The problem is there are surging cases in Tokyo. They've hit a 2-month high that almost guarantees the Japanese government will declare a new state of emergency to start next week and continue for the duration of the Tokyo Olympic Games. Also, cases are higher now than they were a year ago when the Tokyo Olympics was supposed to take place. Yet the IOC is moving forward. Now, this is an interesting concept, and I learned this on last week tonight with John Oliver. He was talking about this. Tokyo has no say in this. The city of Tokyo has no say on whether or not they put it on or not. The IOC, when they won the bid, tells you when it's happening. It's going. So they don't have a say in whether or not they cancel it or not. This is outrageous because this is a true state of emergency. The pandemic delayed the Olympics open in just over 2 weeks. It's supposed to start July 23rd. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's silly. I understand the amount of money that could be lost, and that's ultimately what this is all about. We saw it with college football a year ago. They got through it to the end, but I thought it was absolutely, nonsensical to play a sport that wasn't professional simply because they needed that revenue. That's what it was about, not the safety of everybody involved. So Your thoughts on the fact that the Tokyo Olympics seem to be going forward regardless of the situation around the COVID-19 pandemic while in Tokyo right now?
Well, extremely risky, of course. But this is to me, and everybody has their thoughts politically, so I'm going to try to stay out of that conversation. But the way I look at this is not like I don't know. This isn't like the Super Bowl in the United States, choosing to have the Super Bowl with the United States outbreak where all of the American athletes are still participating and attending and going to the Super Bowl within our own country. This is the largest event in the entire world with thousands and thousands and thousands of athletes minimum, maybe spectators from around the world, reporters, analysts, everything else from around the world, flooding Tokyo, which in the grand scheme of the planet is a small island. So it's packing.
Which is already overpopulated.
Yeah, right. So it's completely concentrating Tokyo, Japan, swarming there from all over the world, right? So you're bringing in like heavily vaccinated people and mindsets, not vaccinated, non-mindsets in the same area for all these events and all these athletes. Pretending you're going to quarantine and create this bubble like the NBA did an event like that is just silly. So for me, it seems ridiculous because if Tokyo itself is the place where the risk is, then you're literally asking people from all over the planet to come here. Where for the last 2 years, Ryan, we've said this one little city anywhere in the world is high risk. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out, period. New Zealand was like the first country in the world to just say, you know what? Nobody leaves, nobody comes in, we're quarantining ourselves before quarantining was cool. And for a minute, they did shut it down. And then it came back open when they opened up and stuff. It would be different if, say, there was, take X city or country in the world, and there was an outbreak in that country, and they said, sorry to those athletes, it's a bummer, but that country's athletes are not allowed to participate in the Olympics because of your situation back home. That, to me, is totally merit and makes sense. For Tokyo to be the hot spot, though, and we've already postponed it, now you're coming in and basically lifting the veil because it's going to heal itself in 2 weeks.
And it's incredibly disappointing. It's incredibly disappointing for the athletes because these usually only come along every 2 years, 4 years, 4 years essentially.
Summer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they put all that work and effort into it, so it's extremely disappointing. This stuff's out of your control, right? I guess, I don't know what you go about, how you go about it. People always say, we'll sign waivers, we'll do whatever, we want to compete. We're always thinking about ourselves in those instances, and understandably so. But this is about others. This virus was more about the well-being of other people outside the realm of you than any other, I think, situation I've been involved in my lifetime. And it was my biggest fear because I felt I was relatively still young, in good health. And if I were to have caught it, it would probably have been asymptomatic. And my biggest fear in all this is that I was going to give it to somebody who had an underlying health condition who would die from it. Mm-hmm. Right? That was my biggest fear. I did not complain much about being quarantined. It was difficult. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you go from living a certain life to being house, like on house arrest.
Yeah.
So that's difficult for anybody and everything. So I get it. There's empathy around that, but you got to think about the well-being of other people, and this is incredibly about humanity, and that's what the Olympics have always supposed to maintain. It's become incredibly political, which it always has been, but it's also been about humanity coming together to compete regardless of political affiliations or what's going on, and to compete. And if you put other people at risk, it's I don't understand why, when it's more problematic now than it was even a year ago when they made the decision to postpone it, I'm afraid that, people are going to start getting on planes here soon to go.
Yeah.
So the decision has to be made relatively quickly. And I don't know, the World Health Organization. I guess that would have to be somebody to step in and say, hey, you can't do this. This is just not. We're just not going to go. All right, we're sick and tired of doing this for 18 months. We're just going to, let our hair on fire and see what happens.
Right. And I'm going to ask you the same question, Ryan. What would you do if you're the end all be all top of the food chain making decisions here? Would you full on just cancel it for 2022, try to postpone it yet another summer, look to move locations, which I know sounds insane logistically, but look to move locations to somewhere in somewhere else in Asia, maybe, just to have the event? What would you do if this was your decision ultimately? What do you think would be best for the event?
It wouldn't be a popular one. I would just say we're going to postpone again. We'll do the Winter and Summer Olympics coinciding with each other next year.
I think that'd be
and
awesome.
We'll put them back like they were every 4 years in the same year. We'll do the Summer Olympics and then Winter Olympics. If you want to get them back on track that way, that's the way I would do it. Everybody who's qualified is qualified for next year. It's another year of training. I mean, the disappointment would run amok. I understand that. Life isn't fair. It's about how you deal with it. And I hope the IOC, who is ultimately in control of all of this, makes the right decision here. Now, if cases start to subside and they really feel like they can make a sincere bubble, one of the interesting concepts on that John Oliver pointed out too when I was watching was normally when you come to the Olympic Village, all the athletes they get like a gift package, a welcome package, and it's usually they get a handful of condoms because, as everybody knows, the Olympic Village becomes kind of a incestual
party scene,
and they still gave the condoms out. They were going to give the condoms out this year, but said, please don't use them. Wait till you get back home.
You can have the party favor, just don't use the party favor.
Yeah. Don't use the party favor because we don't want you to have any intimacy while you're here this time. I don't know if any of you are fans of this show. I'm certain you'd be a fan of John Oliver and Last Week Tonight. Yeah. I love it. I watch it every weekend.
So one thing, Ryan, I want to mention one more thing. We'll move on here. I just looked up if Olympic athletes are required to be vaccinated, and they're not. They're strongly encouraged, of course, and all will be wearing mask coverages and things like that for indoor events and things, but they are not required. So again, the biggest concern to me is on a world scale. Again, this is not like a city that we don't have relationship to. This is a world scale. Everyone going there. It takes one case, as we know, then 2 to 5 to 10 to 500 and thousands. And then everybody goes home in a month. And
carries
in October, which none of us can see yet, in October, all of a sudden we do what we just did 2 years ago all over again. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah, and there's a variant. There's the Delta variant that they've been talking about that is much riskier, higher transmittability. I'm not a doctor, so this is the RDL show, everybody. All right, what I do tell you to do, try some Athletic Brew. That's the only thing I can really tell you to do because I like it. I drink it. It's a non-alcoholic beer. Great taste, less filling, none of the consequences. Brew without compromise, everybody. Go to athleticbrew.com. Order, you'll get 10% off your first 2 delivery of 6-packs. Upside Down's my favorite. I'm heading to Mexico on Saturday. Maybe might smuggle in a couple 6-packs of the Athletic Brew in my golf bag. We'll see how that goes. But try it when you can. That's all that's the expert that's in me about Athletic Brew. All right, marijuana. All right, never been a fan. Smoked it once while I was in Amsterdam. Everybody, I figured when in Rome,
that's the place.
Go to a coffee house. I was with my little cousin. Never tried it before, so we went in. They gave you a menu. You ordered from it. I smoked it. I was a freaking wreck. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I just wanted to be someplace quiet and alone. So we went into the movie theaters and I watched Batman Begins, which was not a good film to go see because that's really about hallucinating in a bunch of parts of that movie. And I probably was a little bit. So that may have intensified me not liking marijuana. So marijuana's never been my drug of choice, right? I was a straight pillhead, you know, opiates were my thing. It made me feel good. I liked how it made me feel. It's why I took it. But marijuana, as always, has become a huge lightning rod topic. Sha'Carri Richardson recently disqualified and benched from the Olympics after failing her drug test of marijuana following the death of her mother last month at the National Olympic Trials. And we just found out today she'll be left off the relay as well, because there was never really a chance for her to do that, because her 100-meter dash was her qualifying for the relay. And if the qualifying for the relay was thrown out because of her suspension, then there was really no way for her to compete. So she won't even be going to the Olympic Games after failing that drug test. A lot of people have been up in arms over that decision because she was the fastest woman by far. It is not a performance enhancing drug. It has been used, and I was informed of this by a track and field representative this last week. It has been used as a masking agent from time to time, but there was a very reasonable and seemed like logical excuse. She lost her biological mother. She had a difficult time coping with it. She chose to use some marijuana, fully acknowledging that it was most likely going to show up and there were going to be consequences in her drug test. She has been incredibly forthcoming in terms of taking ownership for it, and has not played the victim through this process. She's tried to let people know that, you know, the fastest humans on the planet are still humans, are still human beings. That's important. If anybody follows me knows that I am for decriminalization, not of just marijuana. I'm of decriminalization of all drugs. I am a very prominent proponent of the Portugal model and what they've been able to accomplish. The crime rate has just dropped like you wouldn't believe. Incarceration rates, and they've been able to work and tax different things. The state of Colorado has done that around marijuana. The state of Oregon, which you live in, has decriminalized a lot, has put a lot of money into the recovery side of it, the foundation of helping people, taxing it, and using that money for those purposes. And I think that's the direction we need to go. These are private companies, though. The NFL is a private company. Yep. The World Doping Agency, they run and put something on their ban list. So those exist. I had a discussion around whether or not, you know, now that marijuana is legal in certain states, what about young men and women who were given 10, 15 years in prison because of possession of marijuana or intent to sell or any of those things in the past? And my answer to that is rules are rules when they're the rules. It may be a silly, dumb law, rule, whatever, but that's what it is at the time, and therefore needs to exist in the mindset of those who are going through it. They may think it's foolish, but they also need to understand that there's consequences to their actions. When you make a choice and it's breaking a rule, it's breaking a law, there's going to be a consequence if caught, period. No matter what anybody else thinks, nobody, you know, and this goes back to the Reggie Bush Heisman scenario. Reggie Bush is the Heisman Trophy winner. In my eyes, will always be. The rule was then you couldn't accept money as an amateurism, right? The Heisman Trust and the NCAA, they're just enforcing the rules that existed then. If he doesn't get his Heisman Trophy back, it's not going to be the end of the world. I still believe he's a Heisman Trophy winner. And you got to be kidding me if he really gave the Heisman Trophy back. That dude's got a Heisman Trophy in his house. You know he does.
I agree.
There's no way in hell. Like the Heisman Trust police didn't show up at Reggie's house and said, "Hey, we're coming in if you don't bring that Heisman out right now." That dude still got it in his house in the Palisades. I know he does. All right. The reason we got on this topic, of course, is because the Nevada Gaming and Competition Committee has legalized or taken marijuana off their banned substance list. Therefore, if they were tested for it, they would be okay. Now, this is not grandfathered in or retroactive to those who have been tested. So on this date, so this goes exactly with what we were just talking about. Those who may have been tested in the last month where it was banned, if it came up positive, there are going to be consequences for it. From this point on, moving forward, anybody within the Nevada Gaming Commission will not be subject to that when it comes to marijuana. So, you have this line of demarcation that exists now, and from this point forward. Now, like anything in any kind of sport, there are games of inches, right? And these are games of dates. Like if the World Doping Agency and the IOC say marijuana from this point on is Sha'Carri Richardson still would be considered banned or suspended because of the positive test when it was set. Your thoughts on where this is going? And I think it's optimistic. I know what marijuana can do. I've seen it when I work with people in recovery. It can be a gateway drug. Not everybody is the same, right? I'm allergic. I'm allergic to mood altering substances, right? I break out in handcuffs. That's the best way for me to put it. So I therefore do not partake. And it's a choice, okay? I find other ways to alter my mood when I have to deal with emotions and feelings. Some people, and usually because of a doctor's recommendation, it helps them deal with something in a positive and healthy way, rather than using negative and toxic mood altering drugs like painkillers and things like that. Again, not a doctor, right? This is just the opinion of where we're going. Your thoughts on where we're headed in terms of marijuana in the sporting industry?
Man, this is a loaded question because there's a lot for me to reply here on this. I will say, I live in Eugene, Oregon. If anybody's familiar with Eugene, Oregon, cannabis is a part of our culture here. It just is. There's weed farms, for layman's terms, literally surrounding the entire valley. 15 of my neighbors up and down my street, I guarantee you, are growing cannabis currently. I personally don't have a problem with it at all. On the athlete front, I appreciate, and I have the Ricky Williams jersey behind me here, just coincidentally. If anybody knows his story after the NFL and everything, his history, yeah. On the athlete side of things, I appreciate athletes who maybe choose to use cannabis, CBD, THC, whatever it is, instead of alcohol, pills, gambling. I mean, any other vice. Everybody has a vice. Everybody has a vice.
I like to, and if this, I like to use the colloquialism mood altering, because that's what you're doing. You're the vice is your mood. You're altering your mood for whatever reason, because you're not comfortable with who you are, not comfortable with some kind of pain, not comfortable with who you're around, something like that. It's always, no matter what it is, everybody has their own. It's to alter your mood.
I mean, it could be food, it could be working out, it could be running. My aunt was like legitimately addicted to running marathons, and it like affected her health tremendously because she just couldn't stop. Anyway, I think this is a real shame. I understand why they're doing it. I agree with you, Ryan. I think you and I are kind of flatlined on this entire topic. I am pro cannabis. I have no problem with what she did, certainly under the circumstances of her mother passing. I have no issues with that at all, 100%. Unfortunately, it is the rules. And Reggie Bush, I think, was a great example that's going on right now, that big conversation. It's exploding on Twitter. And I agree with you there too. It sucks. I think it's unfair. I think it's lame. I am not on that side of the fence personally, but unfortunately, it's the rules. And what I appreciate about Sha'Carri Richardson, which is so refreshing, and Ryan, every single week we have some sort of bozo that we talk about one way or another on the show for something. She has been so refreshing to own this immediately, not deny it once. I did what I did. I knew the risks. I took the risks. I'm taking the consequences. It sucks. I chose to do that because of the circumstances my bad, and hopefully I'll bounce back.
And I'm human. And I'm human.
Exactly. It's so refreshing. And I'm just rooting for her in general. She's got a fan in me as like a character person. And I'll tell you right now, the Olympic trials happened here in Eugene, literally right down the street from my house here. And when she ran that race, our whole city, Tracktown USA, as they call it, exploded. And what she did and became a superstar to the, general public overnight. And then all this stuff comes down. And to see everybody batting for her is nice and refreshing to have that support. But unfortunately, Ryan, at the end of the day, I agree with you. And it is an Olympic rule. We have, again, the world model, multiple countries, even in the United States. Most people are pro-cannabis. Most people are loose on cannabis. We know certain states and government agencies and governors who are not. Therefore, it's not federally legal. So Oregon can do whatever they want. Another state, you're going to jail, prison.
You're going to jail. Yeah, you got to understand what state you're in.
Exactly. So the rest of the world is the same.
Didn't the Lakers player, just because he was in Texas, get busted for having marijuana? Like if he would have just stayed in California, it's not a problem.
Guys do it all the time. Athletes do it all the time when they're shipping, because when they're at home, whatever, or musicians, I shouldn't say athletes, but musicians, happens all the time. They cross state borders and they got something in their bag from yesterday. Oops. So the Olympics and the NFL and other things aren't going to lift this, because it's a world issue with the Olympics, and you have certain countries who are extremely anti-cannabis. Yeah. And so it's just not going to happen. So unfortunately, and look, the Michael Phelps thing years and years ago, right? I mean, that tainted his incredible career during the height of it. So it's unfortunate. I think it's disappointing that she is not able to participate as literally the best in her field at the highest stage in the world. But unfortunately, I have to pull a rule as a rule.
Answer me this. What if the IOC steps in and postpones it till next year, and now Sha'Carri can run?
Totally legit. I think she should be eligible.
Right?
Yeah.
Now the because
this isn't a ban on day. It's 30 days, right?
Right, but the time that qualified her has been disqualified. So they would either have to.
She have to requalify.
Or she have to requalify, and if that would be the only question. That would be the question there. Okay. All right. Moving on from that. You want to spice up your food? Try our hot sauce. All right. Bomb Banana, everybody. All right. This is a hot sauce that is banana based. Excuse me. Not to be confused with banana flavored, everybody. Okay. It's made out of bananas. You have two flavors. You have a mild version with the white bottle, and with the more spicy mooey and the red labeled bottle. Bomb Banana hot sauce, everybody. Go to seekthespice.com. That's seekthespice.com, all one word. And today you can receive 10% off your first order by using the promo code LEAF. That's LEAF, like on a tree. Check it out. Bomb Banana hot sauce, everybody. seekthespice.com. All right, moving on. I don't know exactly why this was placed on a Tuesday afternoon when Monday was an observed holiday.
Everybody's at home. Yeah.
But everybody's at home, but they chose to play the match between Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau and Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson. Now, they played it in my home state up on top of a mountain peak in southwestern Montana, which is gorgeous. I don't know if you watched it, but it was just gorgeous on every single shot. Yeah. The favorites were definitely Phil and Tom, just because how everybody loves them. And Bryson's kind of the lovable person to hate. And Aaron Rodgers is kind of like, I don't know what to think about Aaron Rodgers right now. What the hell? And they just, Aaron looked like he was like a driving range pro that just hustles people every single day, hitting big putts, hitting 400-yard drives. The only guy to hit it on a green on a 175-yard par 3 out of two pros who are the defending PGA champion and number 6 in the world. Yeah. So, I played golf with Aaron, and we're comparable in terms of how we play. So it was really fascinating to see him play so well. Bryson and him 1, 3, and 2. Tom and Phil just couldn't get it done. Bryson Bryson's a machine. Dude just constantly hits bombs and hits chips in, and Bryson's a machine. Bryson's going to be around for a long time when it comes to PGA Tour golf. And your thoughts before we get to your thoughts on what you thought of the match and the continuation of this from Capital One and the money they raised for food banks and for feeding hungry people all over the United States. I have a suggestion, and I've made this suggestion before. I think if they're going to do it another time, I think that you place Phil Mickelson with Peyton Manning, and me with whoever. I'll play with Bryson. I'll play with Jason Day. I'll play with Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas. I'll play with any of those guys, and we'll take on Peyton and Phil. I think it would be, a boondoggle. You got the Hall of Famer just entered the Hall of Fame, and me, who's considered one of the biggest busts ever. But I'm telling you right now, you put me up with all the guys that have been in this tournament or been in these matches as golfers who are not professional golfers. I can carry my own. I can play shot for shot with them, if not beating them. I need the invite to the American Century Championship in Tahoe just to let everybody know.
Yeah.
Put everybody on onus. They're like, hey, this guy needs to play in it. I think that's the perfect one. We can do it back in Montana again. Why not? My home state. Tom lives there. Phil loved it. It doesn't matter where. Any place, anytime. Peyton, calling you out. All right, what did you think about the match, and what do you think about this continuing? Who would you like to see next? No bias. Don't worry about it. You won't hurt my feelings if you don't say me.
If they put you in Montana, I feel like that's it might be unfair, because that's home green advantage, right? Like they might not do that because it would sway the odds.
Do it here in Cali.
There you go.
Let's play Riviera.
Even playing field. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I think it's just interesting. I mean, you have the power versus the finesse, more or less. And man, Rogers, his demeanor, man, he's just such a Cali dude. Just always just kind of yeah, it's cool, man. We'll figure it out.
Cool, bro. I'll
dodging all the questions, just rolling on the golf cart, just cool as a cucumber, man. Just we'll see. And I've never been a Tom Brady hater at all. I'm not a LeBron hater. I don't dislike incredible athletes. I try to just respect them and appreciate them for who they are while we have them. But I never appreciated Tom Brady until a couple years ago when I started hearing his personality. And now that he's out of New England, he can have a personality. And dude, he seems cool as hell, and having him out there cracking jokes, and Peyton's like that too and stuff. It was a cool atmosphere. It was a lot of fun. Who would I like to see? That's a great question. Put me on the spot. I haven't really thought about it. I think, as far as ratings and stuff for their side, they have to. I think Mike Trout. I'll be biased to the baseball side. I think Mike Trout will be fun.
No one knows Mike Trout outside of California.
Hold on. Okay, maybe true, but first of all, this guy needs a platform, so I'm just going to stand up for him. Secondly, Ryan, I know that we have a quote here when we started the show that you quote unquote don't know TikTok. However, I'm going to throw this out there on social media. There's a clip of him at a driving range or something like that.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And he's
beating one down. Yeah.
hit a few over the net. I would just like to see Mike Trout out there. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Patrick Mahomes would be, I think, a great one as well. As far as the golfers, I don't know, man. I'm kind of starting to feel your boy John Rahm. You called him out for the was the Open, the Masters. I can't remember. He was kind of your dark horse, I think, for the Masters. And then just got the win recently, so he might be one there. And I'm trying to think of athletes specific.
That would be cool. You can match up Phil against John, both ASU guys.
There you go.
And then me and Peyton.
Boom. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. What's Peyton's game like? I mean, what was the last time
he played recently? He played in this one with Tom Brady and Phil and Tiger a while back, and then he played with Steph Curry in the match against Phil and Charles Barkley. So he's just like any person that it's a low handicap golfer. We're not professional golfers, so we could easily shoot 83 as if we could shoot even par. Like I shot a 1 over yesterday on the front 9, at Sherwood Country Club, where Tiger would play his Target World Challenge tournament years ago. I had an eagle and a birdie on the front, and I shot a 1 over 37. And there was no reason why, and I was hitting bomb drives, and I was down the fairway, and I was putting well. I was like, there's no reason for me to, why that wouldn't continue. I proceeded to go, I went par, and it was the ugliest par on 10. And then I hit 2 incredibly bad slices that ended up on the other fairway and then on the other tee box, and somehow I hit a hooded 7-iron that rolled up to the green, and I made par. And then over the next 4 holes, I went double, double, birdie, double. So that's in my game, even though I'm a 1 handicap, right? So it's just a different world, right? But you put us in those types of situations with some cameras on us, playing competitively again, right? Pressure mounts. These pro golfers know how to get it done. It would be interesting to see how Peyton and I would do against one another after having been compared to each other for years and years and years, as far back as you can remember. I think it just would be a fun atmosphere. So
I'll tune in.
I love it. We got Sky's eyes, and we know everybody's eyes. You are the demographic, my friend. All right. Question of the day, right? Who wins the NBA Finals? All right. Our friend Eric Davidson faithfully jumped in here and says, Suns. Would love to see the Bucks take it, but it's just such an uphill battle, especially after last night. I agree.
Totally
very, very difficult. We'll see. After every big blowout in those Warriors-Cavaliers series, I would say, oh, no one's beating the Warriors. And all of a sudden the Cavs beat them by 20 the next night. And I'm like, okay, no one's beating the Cavs now. And the Warriors beat them by 15 the next night. So we'll find out. Tomorrow night will tell us a lot more. I will know more about it after tomorrow night. If they go up 2-0, it's trouble. It is trouble. They may be able to, and if they could steal one in Milwaukee, then it's cashing it out.
I'm not saying the Bucks can't win a game or 3 in this series overall. My concern is the Bucks seem to be hot and cold too often for a team in the finals. Like they're really, they're solid, but they have great games and they have like oops games. And the Suns are just solid with ascending performances seemingly every night and getting better at this time of year, which is just, you can't compete with that.
They are. They're by far the best basketball team right now, playing and peaking at the perfect time. It's great to see that play out. We'll be back on Friday, and we'll be able to talk about all things NBA Finals. We'll know a lot more. We'll hopefully not get into my Cubs, because hopefully they've won by then. They've lost 11 straight. I am incredibly disappointed with all of this. They are now 9 games back. When I saw them, they were in the lead for their division.
So Ryan, I've been thinking about this here. Do you need to go to a Cubs game to flip the script, or are you going to?
I don't know. I'm worried that
Cubs fans and now they're 0-11. Like what?
Yeah, but then I stay for the next 3, and I feel like I may have done something and put the world off axis.
Well,
or something. I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out, people. We'll be back Friday. We'll talk all about that from Sky. With Sky Guasco and myself. Sorry, Guasco. I still, after 51 shows, fuck your name up. All right. See you guys on Friday. Thanks for watching the RDL show.